Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Sky Striker deck profile. I figured if I was already doing Orcust and Thunder Dragons, I ought to do the top 3 best decks of the format, not including Salamangreat, which might be coming up soon, I don't know yet. I'm going to play around with that deck a little bit and see what I want to do with it. But let's get straight on this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad. I'm really excited to show you guys my Sky Striker build because I'm playing it a little bit differently than the average person would play Sky Strikers. So let's get straight on this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and let's get straight on into this. And I'm really excited to play this because of the prismatic versions of all of the Link monsters, except for the Earth one, which is kind of disappointing that they didn't do the Earth one. But let's get straight on this. So first off, we're going to be playing only 3 monsters in the main deck, and that is 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Ray. She is the only monster I play as a card, the only monster card I play in the deck. Everything else is spells and traps in the rest of the deck, which is kind of weird to me, only playing 3. You can play hand traps if you want to, but I have a weird build that I'm playing that I'm going to show you guys. So just hang tight. I'm not playing hand traps, but you'll see why in a second. You really don't have to play them with the way I'm playing this deck. So her effect is that quick effect, you contribute this card to special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck using her as a material. And then when this card is in your graveyard, if a face-up Sky Striker Ace Link monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can instantly special summon her back on the field, which is really, really cool. She reminds me of Nier Automata, or whatever it is, Automata, the one that is like 2B and A2. Like, this really makes me think of that, and I really like that about this deck and why I wanted to build it, because I love that game. So that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. Let's get into the Sky Striker spells. So we're going to be playing the best Sky Striker spell, which is Sky Striker Mech Maneuver multi-roll. So multi-roll is really good. It's kind of like Spellbook of Judgment in a way. If you don't know what it does, once per turn you can target one other card you control and send it to the graveyard. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to your spell cards for the rest of the turn. And then if you do that, and then once per turn during the end phase, you can set Sky Striker spells and traps with different names from your graveyard up to the number of Sky Striker spells or traps you activated this turn. And then when this card was face up on the field, but banish them when they leave the field. So, I mean, if you resolve that for 4, you're going to win. I mean, it's inevitable. You're going to win the duel. And if you're not winning, you're doing something wrong. Because if you set 4 and go +4 off of multi-roll, you really should win. Then we play 1 copy of Sky Striker Mech Hornet Drones. You play a Hornet Drones in the deck because it special summons a token, which was like playing a 4th copy of Ray that you can just use to go straight into your copies of Kangari and Shizukus and the extra deck monsters. I play 1 copy of Jamming Wave. Jamming Wave, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can target one of your set spells and traps on the field, or target a set spell in the field and destroy it. And then all the Sky Striker cards have a second effect if you have 3 or more of your spells in the graveyard. And then you can destroy 1 monster on the field too if you have 3 or more spells. I play 1 copy of Eagle Booster. I almost wanted to play Eagle Booster at 2, but I just played it at 1. Eagle Booster is you get to target a monster in the main monster zone, and then target a monster in you get to target a monster on the field. And the target is unaffected by card effects until the end phase of the turn, except its own. And if you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard, it cannot be destroyed by battle either, which can be really important to protect your Kangari if you need to. Hercules Base is a good 1-of as well. I thought about playing it at 2, but the way I play my draw engine in this deck, I play it as a 1-of. But basically what it does is if after activating this card, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can equip this card. The equipped monster can attack directly, and it can make a second attack during each battle phase, which is really good to be able to equip on something like Boral Sword or something like that, or Kangari or something like that, if you want to just attack twice. And then if the equipped monster destroys a monster at battle, while you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you get to draw 1 card. But since it can attack twice, if you destroy 2 monsters, you get to draw 2, which is really good. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target up to 3 Sky Striker cards in your graveyard and shuffle them into the deck, which can be your Kangari that's a 1-of that you need to get back. I play 1 copy of Afterburner, which Afterburner lets us destroy a monster on the field. And then if you have 3 in the graveyard, you can destroy a spell. So it's kind of like the opposite of playing Jamming Wave. It's the complete opposite of Jamming Wave. Then we play 2 copies of Shark Cannon. Shark Cannon is a really, really, really good 2 of in the deck. You get to target a monster. If you have no monsters in your main monster zone, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. And if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you get to special summon that target to your field instead of banishing it, but it can't attack. Which is still really good to be able to just snatch something out of their graveyard and just special summon it to be able to use as link fodder. Especially if you're playing in the mirror match when you grab their Kangari or their Shizuku or something like that you need. Then I play 3 copies of the Sky Striker Airspace Area 0. Area 0 to me is a 3 of. You could get away with 2. I see a lot of people play 2, but I really like 3 of it. You can target 1 monster on the field, or 1 monster. You can target 1 other card you control and excavate 3 cards off the top of your deck. And if you do, you get to add 1 of the excavated Sky Strikers from your deck to your hand, 1 of the 3 that you excavated from your deck to your hand, and then shuffle the rest back in the deck. And if you do, the card that you target on the field is sent to the graveyard. And if this card is sent from the field zone to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from your deck, which is pretty cool to be able to special summon your Kangari or your Ray directly from your deck. Then we play 3 copies of Widow Anchor, which is usually our win condition of the deck. Widow Anchor is if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can target a face-up monster on the field and negate its effect. And if you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard, you can take control of it, which is really cool to have like a 3 of quick play mind control, which is awesome. And it just keeps it till the end phase, which can get it off the field to really be really powerful. Then we play 3 copies of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. Sky Striker Mobilize Engage is essentially the Rhoda that's not once per turn. If you control a monster in your main monster zone, you can add a Sky Striker card from your deck to your hand. And then if you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard, you can draw an extra card, which is pretty good to be able to just draw that extra card from your deck. So that's it for the spells for Sky Strikers. Let's get into the generic spells that we play in the deck. And you guys still are probably like, wait a minute, what's he playing in here? He's not playing hand traps, but you'll see. 1 copy of Rhoda because Kangari is, or not Kangari, I always want to call her Kangari. Ray is a warrior monster, so it's easy to add. 1 copy of Metal Foes Fusion because we send it to the graveyard with our copy of Foolish Burial Goods to draw an extra card. Terraforming to add our copy of Area Base, or whatever it is, the Area 0 from our deck to our hand. 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods to get extra spells in the graveyard so we can resolve the secondary effects. And then the reason I play the deck the way I do is because of Card of Demise. I am playing Demise Sky Striker because this deck plays so many spells. I'm not worried about drawing into the, spells because I can just set them. But you kind of have to play this card smart because you can't summon from the extra deck the turn you activate it, which is not that big of a deal. You just want to set everything and then activate this so you can dig deeper into the deck. And sometimes you're not really worried about discarding extra spells because you can just get them back and you're trying to get to multi-roll as quickly as possible. So then we play 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. I play this over the copies of, Over the copies of, oh my goodness, what is it? Cosmic Cyclone. I played over Cosmic Cyclone because Cosmic Cyclone's really good, but at the same time, I want to be able to pop my own field spells so I can just get Ray directly out of the deck, because you need to get to Ray quickly. So you want to play it as a 3 of so you can pop it, so it's a good surge. And then I play 3 copies of Call by the Grave because I hate getting hand trapped. So that's it for the spells that are the generic spells. Let's get into the traps, because we do actually play quite a few traps in the deck as well, because it is a Demise and it's kind of a control deck. And this deck really grinds really well in the format. So we play 3 copies of There Can Only Be One. There Can Only Be One is a awesome field spell, or an awesome continuous trap. Each player can only control 1 monster of each type, and if a player controls 2 or more, then you have to send them to the graveyard, which is pretty cool to be able to do. It really shuts down decks that are like mono summon decks that control like only warrior monsters and stuff like that. So it's really important to be able to play this as a, as a 3 of. It just works really well in the deck. Then we play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment as well. I think Solemn Judgment is one of the best cards in the format right now to be able to flip it and just say no to anything. And that's why I'm not that worried about hand traps, is because if I go in with Demise, I can set this, but I can't set the other cards. Like, I can't set hand traps. But if you're going to go for this deck, you can also play Infinite Impermanence and set the Infinite Impermanence if you need to, if you're playing the Demise build like I am. But I really like playing the Solemn Judgment that just says no to anything. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, you have to play one copy of Sky Striker Ace Kangari. Kangari is the one that you want to go for first. If this card is special summon, you get to target one Sky Striker spell card in your grave and then add it back to your hand, and it gains 100 attack for each spell card in your graveyard, which is pretty good, and you can only special summon it once per turn. One copy of Kana, you just want to play one copy of Kana. I could see myself playing two, but usually you're only going to ever go for one. If this card is special summon, you get to target a monster your opponent controls, and it can't attack until the end phase of your opponent's next turn, and each time you activate a Sky Striker spell or trap or effect, you get to immediately gain 100 life points, which can be pretty good with your Solemn Judgment, just adding life points back after you resolve a Solemn Judgment, because sometimes you don't want to be just at 4,000 or something like that. You need to play 3 copies of Shichizuku. Shichizuku is one of the best ones. Monster your opponent control lose 100 attack for each spell in your graveyard, which is really, really important because you play like 31 spells in the deck, so it's really easy to be able to get a bunch of spells in the graveyard to make the gap really big in between this card and your opponent's card. And if this card is special summon, you can add a Sky Striker spell or trap from your deck to your hand during the end phase with a different name from the ones in your graveyard. But you play a lot of 1-ofs in the deck, so you can search usually your 1-ofs or your multi-roll extremely easily. 3 copies of Hayate. Hayate is super, super good. You can special summon this card with, you can only special summon it once per turn, and it can attack directly, and after damage calculation if it battled, you can send a Sky Striker card from your deck to the graveyard, so you can use stuff like multi-roll to put it back on the field and stuff like that. And then that's pretty much it for the Sky Striker Link monsters. For the other Link monsters that we play, because we only play Link monster in the deck, we play Topologic because it's really easy to summon this with like Hercules base and make it double its attack and then attack twice. It's 6,000 and then it destroys something twice and you just win. Borosor because it OTKs. Ningritsu because you can out weird sort of cards that you just don't want to deal with. You could trade this out if you wanted to for a copy of Nightmare Unicorn if you want to. I play 1 copy of the Fire Charmer Ablaze. The Fire Charmer Ablaze, the reason you play this is because if you Widow Anchor your opponent's Kangari and you put it on your side of the field, or you're playing in something like Salamangrates, you can use your Kangari and their monster to link into this, or you can use one of their fire monsters to link into this, and so it's a good option to have if you want to play something kind of weird. And then I play a Phoenix and a Cerberus just to kind of pop spells and traps, and then I play 1 copy of the blocker link monster. Basically, this effect is that if it's in the link, this card's link summon, you can discard a card during your end phase of this turn. You get to add a continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand, or a field spell, which usually you're going to add back your multi-roll. This is kind of like how do you get multi-roll back now. And once per turn, face-up spell cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So you can, if you get ogred, or if you get like ogred or something like that, you can just, they try and MST a face-up something or something like that, you just have this card on your field to protect your spell card. So it's a really good card to have, and I really like having it. So that's it for the Sky Striker deck. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It's a lot of fun to play around with because it grinds. This deck grinds for days. Like, you have to have a lot of resources to out this deck, and it's super fun to play around with. This deck is a little bit weird because you only play the 3 monsters, so I've never really played a deck that only played 3 monsters until now. But I really like the way that this deck plays. I wanted to do all the meta decks this week for the channel, but I don't know if I'm going to get to Salamangrates this week. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I might play around with that one and update it in the coming weeks and see what we do on the next ban list with it. Because I don't want to update it and then the next month it just completely get demolished because it won Worlds and it's been topping a lot recently. So, anyways, guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell to become part of the notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.